Hey everyone, welcome back again to another Shower Door Professionals live stream here on Wednesday evening. So glad that you could join us. It's getting to be a habit, We come here and do this, and it's awesome. So this evening, I'm really excited because we have a guest speaker. It's Mike Kunard. Mike is going to talk to us a little bit about some secret info that I really can't tell you what it is, but I know that he can. So hey, if you haven't joined us here in the call and you're in the Facebook group, you can just go ahead and click on the link that's in the description. It'll shoot you on over here to the call, and then I'll just see you and I'll let you in, and it'll be awesome. So, hey, Mike, thanks again for joining us. I want to go ahead and just welcome you to kind of make this call your own. You can go ahead and share your screen and
Thank
just
you.
give us the information that you have.
All right, this is an awesome opportunity. I really appreciate it. This is fun. So what we're gonna walk through is I run a company. It started good old COVID company. Started in June of 2020 out of back against the wall, downsized positions, and now was the time to go start my own company. So I'm helping scalable manufacturers in the building materials industry. Right now, my focus is with two different frameless glass railing systems, one driven a little bit more residentially and then the other commercial, and helping them really find a way through the supply chain. And I've worked in manufacturing of outdoor building materials for 22 years, gone to market one step, two step, and done some international work and product development and the like. So it's really finding these inventors or small businesses that want to do more, and then helping them get there by marketing to the right audiences and leveraging out the features and benefits that they've made from their garage to certainly on their dime, and help them come to market nationally and even internationally. So that's a little bit about me. And as we talk about the glass railing, and I don't know if anybody's on from overseas, I know the chat group that we have on Instagram gets pretty wide, but this is kind of a snapshot from some of the information that I've got on the North American size of the market for the glass railing. If anyone can tell me what percentage of this is interior versus exterior, I'll send you some cookies or something. I don't know. Because I don't have a good answer on that, but I would love opinions as to what this market is. So 6 billion globally is what some studies are sharing on the glass railing market, and then North America runs about 40% of that, and it's growing 7, 8, 9%, 6%, depending on what markets you're looking at or what data you're looking at. So one of the products that I'm going to talk about here today is a shoe rail, and it's a different shoe rail than it's not your father's shoe rail type of thing. We've got a clamp that is not just pressing to something together. I describe it more like a gear. Because it's doing so much to help with the adjustability. It's very simple, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. So here's from more the lumber side of the industry, or like the home builder or the remodeling contractors. There's a couple publications that do a study every spring. They popular deck colors and siding colors, but also they had a railing session. And this, out of all the different types of railing, this is what's driving 2023 and beyond. So number one, there was huge gains by aluminum, kind of the picket railing that was taken over from the wood side of the business. Enhanced view is number two. So frameless glass, there's nothing better. And I'll go through something here that kind of shows the good, better, best for railing. There's nothing that drives view the way glass railing does, and particularly frameless glass. Privacy, I think about having the technology that's in glass where you can have the smoke on off, or just having shaded glass to create privacy. We kind of hit the nail on the head for all of these. Customization, darker colors. We've got dark bronze, matte black, customization, personalization. All of these things can be done. The amazing things that I see on social for the last 3 years that I've been now driving into the glass market, the customization is just endless, let alone personalization. So, a good time from a couple of different vantage points of, why to be in glass rail. If you're currently not offering glass railing today, why get into it? And so this is the other product that we're going to talk about here and start up next, which is IG railing. So most people on this call from the industry are going to know what a spigot is. Well, my partner from Australia, one of the largest glass markets in the world, Australia, he cut a hole in the bottom of a spigot to fit an LED light and put that in and filed a patent on it. And we're bringing that to the North American market right now. And it's going really, really, really good. I had a couple of my distributors today that just said, listen, we just, virtually sold out. I know we landed a container Tuesday, but we need to put another one on as soon as we can. So again, the frameless glass driving on that enhanced view, mix and match materials. You got stainless steel plus glass. We do a matte black for darker color. Personalization, you can etch the glass or get a vinyl etch, acrylic put on to put your family crest on the glass. A lot of opportunity, and then ease of installation. Glass are 12 millimeter or more for the Aluvetro line. 9/16 and beyond is very, very safe, and then also low maintenance. So, you may not be seeing some of the insights from the lumber, the NAHB and the NARI remodelings, but this is out of a magazine, a publication that really drives on that side of our construction industry. So. And then there's the split of commercial and residential. And to be honest, in a lot of different search groups or research groups, like Principia here is one of the largest. They're not tracking from the lumber side by any means, what glass is doing in that space. But, I want to share a number for you here. Anybody know what 181 million lineal feet looks like? To me, it looks like a great opportunity. Okay. So, in the news, we hear about interest rates, mortgage rates, and certainly remodeling is impacted by that. But, they like to spend their time talking about the national builders, the Lennar Homes and MI and all of that and what they're doing from activity. But this 181 million lineal feet is an annual consumption rate of railing, all materials, that's done every year in the US, and maybe, in the US. And then here's even a breakdown of it, of where that product is going. So there's some small slice that's, so 85% is single family. There's some multi low rise, and then 2% multi high rise. So the majority of this 181 million is lineal feet of residential railing. And that's one of the drivers that put me into this space and go after it, because they've been staying away from glass and not having the best option when as the previous study showed, that there's the number 2 in demand, trend is to enhance their view. And so this is kind of a history lesson here. I was working for Sherwin-Williams selling, deck stains and semi-transparent stains in the 90s. And, then came around the composites and the vinyl and the aluminum. Cable rail has been, increasingly very, very popular in the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And I see the cable railing manufacturers trying to kit things and really manage that installation to make it easier, which is driving a better view product, which is awesome for frameless glass, because they're widening the door of, and the education factor that there's more out there than a traditional aluminum baluster. And even the metal balusters, 10, 15 years ago, the aluminum balusters were 3/4 of an inch, and then they went to 1/2 inch, and now they're going down to 1/4 inch, it seems like, just getting thinner and thinner to try to minimize that look, or minimize the obstruction of the view and getting it out there. So, there's a lot of businesses have sold on a good, better, best. Back to my roots there at Sherwin-Williams, we had green can, red can, blue can. We had a good, better, best. What's your project? What's your application? What do you need out there? And I think it's sound, a sound platform to attack. So the first one that we're going to take a look at here is illuminated glass railing, the IG railing. That's where I connected from this Instagram group is tied into that. But this is what we're chasing. This is the awe-inspiring, and we got blue showing here, but we're actually running off a Wi-Fi controller, and now there's virtually unlimited colors because it's got a color wheel on it that's touch on your phone. So I can't even tell you how many colors we make because it's nearly unlimited. The way that the phone app will allow you to blend on a dial to do that. So, and of course we're using low iron glass to get that light to come all the way around the perimeters on it. So our product breaks down really simply. It's we've got our hardware spigots, we have matte black, we have polished stainless steel. This is all 2205 duplex. The matte black is a AMA. The standards for coating and exterior performance and the like. We've got a fluorocarbon based powder coat that's going on the matte black. So we're doing a 10-year, 100% warranty on that, and then a depreciating to 25-year life on the coating in the matte black, and then of course the polished is just polished. These two set screws are included. The base plate cover is included. The shims, the only thing that's not included is your structural fasteners that are going to go into the 4 holes into the base, which is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then in this inside is actually the hole where the LED sits. So everything comes packaged up minus the structural fasteners in a box like this. And this is smart because we've got a line of stainless steel here that's several inches long, and that's where the fasteners are pushing into this versus having to have hold glass or the glass cut or have anything. Certainly you don't want to set screw, trying to tighten down on a piece of glass. So the size of this, if I can get my mouse to work here, is increasing the strength or the bite that's actually going on to the glass to get a strong hold. So the other components for usual suspects here for hardware components is your inline or your 180 connector, your adjustable, which also acts for, in our world, as a 90. We just think fewer SKUs, is easier to work with. And then our end clamp or D clamp going into it, where we've gone into brick, where there's a 8x8 brick pillars or columns on a deck, and we're going into existing, or maybe there's a cable rail for the stairs that are going down and we need to tie into a metal post of some sort, and working with a customer up in Lake Superior in Minnesota tonight, actually, who's going into, wants to tie it into the house, and there's steel siding on the house, and they want to, finish off that edge of the glass and make a really stout end or truncation to it. And then we have top rail in both colors as well. And this is a 3/16 stainless. So not your typical aluminum. This is, kind of heavyweight all the way through for this system. Cuts well with aluminum high toothed blade, and then all the accessories to go along with it, with the end cap and the inline joints. So that's all made with the same material. And then we get into our lighting package, and this is the inventor of this system and the patent holder of the system out of Australia. He was a professional deck contractor for 25 years, and something that really irked him is getting materials shipped out to a job, and you can't find this, you can't find that, the little pieces and parts. So everything that's required for a light system to do 16 spigots is included in this one little box. So that's plugging in 120 into an outlet. That's the transmitter that is, talking to the remote control or the Wi-Fi unit, the extensions, the main line, everything that you need to plug and play and work in there. So we're adding a 10 light kit and a 30 because our jobs are increasingly getting larger, and people only have so many outlets on the back side of their house for the deck applications that we're chasing. So, and then this is a little bit different, and I'm curious to the reaction here. Through a distribution model, we're actually importing low iron glass in standard sizes. And how that works is that and again we're tackling the glazing side of the industry. We're working in, I should say, to the glazing side of the industry, and we've started with this product into the building materials industry, the lumber yards, if you will, and these deck builders, they love standardization. They love standardization, and they don't hate math. So, knowing if anyone's worked with a system like this, a frameless glass, you typically are going to have an adjustable gap between the glass, depending on the layout, the sizing, and everything else. So we're actually taking advantage of a variable gap between the glass that we have to work with, doing a little bit of a complex formula, if you will, of the standardized sizes, and then measuring out point A to point B and finding our options. And as I talk to people who are typically doing construction trades with a saw, I say that managing the gap is your saw. So we've got, several hundred jobs across the US in the last year and a half or so. And there's been one job where we had to get custom sized glass. It was a unique project into a mountainside in Colorado, and there was only just so much we could do on a long run and maintain the consistent gap size. So we see increasingly as our pool of projects expands with distribution, that we'll need have more opportunities for customized glass, but we're making headway, and we've got tools to use this system. If that's a choice. Certainly, it can also get fabricated glass, some low iron glass, brought it to job site, and whereas we would just supply the hardware and the lighting system, we see that happening as well. But for the most part, we're moving some, at least into some channel, into the lumber yards. Done a couple of jobs with this system with my architectural glass. We didn't supply the glass, right? They fabricated their own glass or D3 and brought it out and had fantastic results. And we're not doing stairs, so right, you need a template just about for every set of rise and run. So custom fabrication is certainly coming into play for for stairs on the system as well. So, and then, the big thing is, how do you get a load of 2x4s and some glass out on a job site? So we went to different lengths for packaging. Instead of having, live edge and going on side of cars and A-frames, the way it's done in the glazing side of the industry. We went for a packaging, more of a warehousing type of packaging application, where we've got corner guards, foam wrap, and then every single piece is wrapped up with cardboard individually, in the standard sizes, calling out the weight on the panel, calling out the spigot placement on the panels, because those have been some common questions: is how do I span this thing, or how do I put it into play, depending on a 48-inch wide versus a 45-inch wide or a 36-inch wide panel. So, this is the project where we had one or two sizes of custom glass, but we had this project brought to us from a contractor, and we were able, with some layout tools, we were able to lay out this, and I'm kind of blocking myself, at least on my view on my screen, but we were able to lay out the majority of this, weeks before material shipped for the contractor. So they had a lot going on. They had traditional, like a synthetic composite decking. They had tile. They had concrete. They had a lot of different surfaces to fasten into from the spigot side. And having a layout and having a plan of where sizes were going to go, and pre-drilling out spigots and measuring, gave a lot of value to this contractor through some tools that we have to make this predictable. So we built some apps And we've got a couple of different versions of this now, but this is in its simplest form. All of the factors for gapping, measuring length by the 1/8 of an inch to the standardized sizes. It's a regression analysis, essentially. It's a multivariate regression analysis from old economics 201 class. But it's taking all these factors in based on how many inches you're putting in. And then it's giving all the different options based on our standard sizes, and knowing that some of our connectors on a 90 outside 90-degree corner, you're going to lose about 3 1/4 inches of glass, where you don't need to cover glass, because that mechanism of the outside corner has to come in and has to fit. You can't just put shoulder to shoulder or do a butt joint there, with 2 pieces of glass. So it takes those types of things into consideration. And then once we get a yield out a list, we can turn it into a secondary program, which is dropping it in and doing a layout tool of, hey, I got 192 inches, and that yields out to be a 45, 3/48, and then a 45. And I can drop this on a website platform, and hopefully even get this out to a contractor so that they know, from the estimating side, what we had envisioned, because sometimes you're a step away from the contractor with a supplier in between. So these are some of the things that we're doing to make this, capture that market share, that 181 million lineal feet, and try to make the product easy to buy. Easy to estimate, easy to buy, easy to sell. All of those things is what we're working on. And then this is some of the different things that we're bringing to market, and where you can find us. So our pizza box with a little sample inside. We got some 12 by 12 glass, and I can. And this is sorry. This is a little bit of warehouse inventory. So this is what we're working with wholesale distributors. So I've got a wholesale distributor in California. There's a location over by Sacramento, and then down by LA. So they have warehouse with our product standard size, stocked, ready to go, ready to ship on tomorrow's truck to new customers. Make it, again, easy to buy, to make that turn time very minimal, and be in the game right away. So that's the opportunity you get with standardization versus everything being a custom fabrication.
What kind of testing have you done for your product?
So we did ICC. We did an AC 439, and a lot of the spigots out there are more of fencing category. I've seen some with made from aluminum and the like, but we went with the 2205 duplex stainless steel, and we have a ICC report. It's ESR 4816. Sorry, I thought I had it on one of these. Yeah, and it's on our labeling of our packaging as well. So so the AC 439 and the AC 10, it's the 4x safety factor. We did the testing with connectors at the top, but then there's different, and we did very well on the performance of against the lift, the push, the pull, all of those tests. But then there's also the 3-tooth test, where unless you have laminate glass, which this is currently using 12 millimeter, tempered, you're going to need a top rail. So that's why we have the top rail, depending on the jurisdiction. So like I was in Chicago last week, and in the city, you're going to either, top rail and use 42-inch, or you're going to go laminate. And yet you get into Madison, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, different markets. You can go again, depending on the building inspector, and what they've adopted for standards based on code standards. I've seen 36-inch rail heights, with just the top clamp going at the top for the inline connectors.
What's like the
Sorry,
typical price for a pair of like stainless steel, let's say, spigots?
So for the stainless steel spigots, you're looking at about $100 a piece. So I usually say, and a lot of folks from the glazing side, like you know your cost on glass, whether you're fabbing and polishing yourself or whether you're getting it from somebody close by. Our kind of MSRP is a system, if you will, is lighting, glass, hardware, and that's minus the top rail. But if you want to put the top rail in, it's about $225, $230 a lineal foot. So
That makes it
I think
easy.
that's a pretty competitive rate. And obviously that varies whether you're piled up with, 24-inch panels because you're trying to turn a corner without buying curved glass, or, if you're maxing out with 48-inch glass, 2 spigots on a max span, your costs are going to go down. I've seen it as low as 165 depending on the project.
How do you guys run cables through like stone or concrete? Like how do you go about that?
That was $1 million question 2 years ago I went to the Deck Expo in Texas, and I'm glad that we started at that show in Texas because there was a ton of concrete work there. Talking to landscape and concrete, contractors, they told me that we're going to run a conduit basically underneath the slab, underneath the tile. We're going to get underneath there. We're going to mark it. We're going to make, we're going to drill holes that are obviously going to go through the surface of the substrate and the concrete. But then we're going to find an out underneath of it, and we're going to run a chase, essentially like a PVC chase, and string it through.
So you get them to write all your like tubes and wiring, I guess, to wherever you need it to be? Or is that like, would that be on, I'm just trying to understand, like as a glazier, how would I sell this kind of job? Like, do I tell the landscaper, I need you to run these wires, or I got to run them myself?
I would have them prep for it. When I talk about the lighting system as it is, I mean, it's a 75-foot string, like Christmas lights, if you will, that is ready to plug into 120, plug into a standard outlet. And it's just a matter of putting in a couple of, I don't know if you can see me or just the screen.
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. So it's just it's just plugging in a couple of different 4-pin. It's definitely something that you can do, but you want them to prep for it to get that going.
Do you guys do any illuminated handrails?
No, everything's coming up from the spigot.
Can you show that example you have that you were showing me earlier?
Yeah. So here's a shot of the connections. Where are we here? So this is literally just, I got the screw cap on there right now, but this is just plug it in. There's even grips on the sides that you should plug it in to make sure you get the red to hit red and green to hit green and blue to hit blue. And there's even arrows. And this is set up on the color, but this is the type of, and on the backs of houses where people have their soffits or their eaves, I don't know if you can see a little bit of like the kind of the rainbow effect, if you will. It shoots up and hits on the house in a real beautiful way. And
you said we could customize the colors to like a UT orange, for example?
Yeah. So there's so this is where am I? So this is a remote on a dial, but basically the same thing shows up on an app. I think is even better. A lot of these projects, I mean, we just got a quote for our distributor in Chicago, just took an order yesterday for 114 spigots. Right, if we average out 3-foot panels, that's a lot of that's a lot of range, and having the transmitter has on the remote has a decent amount of range, but if you've got a 200-foot railing out there, you've got multiple light kits going out there, then you got to kind of find each one, and the app is just a lot easier to run it because you've got Wi-Fi on your whole house, right? So being able to control it from that is just as easy.
And what's the warranty like? Does the warranty, I see 25-year, but I saw on the other slide it was like 1 year. What covers, or what's the typical lifespan of some of these? Are they going to be a hindrance like 10 years later to switch out things, or not at all?
No, it's good LED light technology. You know, the manufacturer we're working with overseas has got a 1 year on it. The first job that we did was here in Minnesota, where I'm based out of, where we get really cold and also get, you know, nice and warm and humid in the summertime. And so the first job we did was installed in like December 20th of 2020. It was 5 degrees outside. And we could get it all working together, but then it's been, it's gone through the seasonality, you know, since then. So it's a friend of mine where we did the install. I'm like, I'll cover whatever, but you can't turn your lights off, like not during the day, not during night, like you're my test subject. And we haven't pulled any lights out, and he's had it on, you know, 80% of the time for a couple of years now. So, yeah, we're happy with the technology and you know, the functioning of everything, and haven't had callbacks through the supply chain, and it's been good. Other comments out there or questions? Yeah, Chris.
Is this something that like general contractors are just going to do themselves and kind of cut the glass industry out of the loop?
No, I mean, right now what we're seeing is opportunities on both. Like I was saying, down in the Florida market. So I've got a wholesale distributor on the Aluvetro product line, the shoe rail line, Interglass Corp down in Miami. If anybody's familiar with them, you know, they're moving wholesale glass to fabricator contractors and supply houses, and they're looking at bringing this in. Now, if I X'd out from, you know, the supply side, saying that, you know, you can't buy this unless you buy my glass, you know, then I think that's a threat to the glazing side of the industry. But making it available and for, you know, fabrication customers to be able to, you know, do what they want, just get their hands on the hardware. No different than if you got a fencing spigot today and bring it into that channel. When you know, I started with my experience on the deck side and the specialist deck contractors, you know, if you will, but as I moved more and more into the glass side, people asked about, well, what about commercial? And then that commercial opportunity with the shoe railing allowed me to learn more about the entire industry. And I'm, you know, sensitive of that, to how to include, you know, both sides of, we're in one industry, construction, right? And how can we, you know, participate in, you know, servicing and serving, you know, both sides, the glazing contractor and then also the builder contractor. So I see an opportunity with home builders where I get specified, and I just did this last week in Miami, where a developer came in with a specification for our shoe rail system, and I immediately handed that to, you know, a supplier, an installing supplier that purchases from the distributor. So I think it's how you approach it. Either you respect the supply chain and the core competencies of, you know, the different layers of your customers, which may not be transactional, right? I'm selling these products, all of these products in bulk quantity, yet I work with contractors, I work with fabricators on the regular, and it's, you know, it's respecting everyone's craft and position in the supply chain.
What cities in the US do you see like that are purchasing more glass railing, in your opinion?
Man, I had 5 jobs in Iowa last week. Like who thought Iowa was a big market? And I'm not saying that's the biggest market. I don't have distribution on these products everywhere. We're really at the early stage on these. But the Chicagoland market has really blown up this spring with this IG railing system. California has been a very good market for us and is just ready to kind of blow the top off. As this week has been an indication of. Florida is still, a huge market. I've never seen as much glass as when I go to the Florida market. But we're seeing, national opportunities, and I say that 181 million lineal feet, from the residential side. If you look at the percentages here, I can break this out, but you've got kind of, 30% of that or so here, 39% the Southeast, 38%, I think, on the Midwest, and then a percentage up in the Northeast. I'm happy to post this, where you see the railing demand. And I think I'm trying to educate, some people, some of the posts that I've made in the last 2 weeks on LinkedIn is, I talk about frameless glass railing, hashtag frameless railing, frameless glass. I mean, I'm just repeat on every post. I think category shift is something I talk about because it's coming. A swell is coming, of opportunity. And there's other products other than railing that a lot of you guys are involved in that helped that momentum. It's frameless shower doors. It's frameless windows. It's frameless, there's a frameless doors. There's a lot of different products out there that have made the leap to go to frameless glass railing on the backside of your house or your balcony that much easier. Like, you guys have done the work. The industry here has done the work to open up the door for yourself, ourselves, right, as an industry, to be able to sell that forward, and go back, either whether it's repeating back to a client where you installed a frameless, shower door 6 years ago. What do they have on the back of their house? They're already prepped. They paid an extra $600 or $1,000 to, get that just on 2 or 3 panels in the bathroom. Why wouldn't they want to share that experience to watch their kids play in the backyard, or catch out the sunset views, or, the hills, greens, and water? A very successful brand manager told me that the pioneer of composite decking, the Trex company, the brand manager said, if you don't know where to go, driving your car, selling our composite decking, go drive to hills, greens, or water, and you'll find a customer. All right. Outdoor living, they want to spend more time living outdoors than doing maintenance and staining your deck and the like, but it's a pretty true statement for a lot of outdoor value-added building materials.
My concern was very much like Chris's concern about, this becoming more available to the deck builders, which kind of cuts us out. So I guess my thought is that probably a good idea to pursue some of the lumber companies that specialize on decks and get, like for me, my name out, my company's name out for this product line. I'd like to talk to you about this more. I'd like to get maybe some literature that I can go deliver to some of these lumber houses around me. I'm trying to figure out how can I make this something a benefit to our business.
When we're trying to raise the tide for the glass industry to be, accepted at large, this pie of 181 million, wood is still dominating for railing. Okay, aluminum is second, composite is third. I figured other would be glass. It's not. Other is some cable and some other vinyl and aluminum, different material extrusions. So we're trying to elevate the conversation to, anyone that's calling out to replace their railing, whether that's to a glass and mirror shop, right? Because that's going to be the natural progression of somebody who's, looking for glass work done at their house. That, there's an edge in the market, that there's another source of information that might be a little more HGTV driven or something like that, that is putting the idea into the head of a consumer who says, we want a new railing. Why wouldn't we do glass? Hey, you remember Brad did our glass shower door, right? We're trying to elevate the whole category to do it. And I think there's some sales opportunities with the distribution chain that, that we're building, where, the product would be available, the hardware, the lighting, and components would be available with or without the glass, and work for you, Brad. Also, there's a lot of deck builders out there that have been booked for the year for 2 months. Booked out. And so, the opportunity from a partnership to understand who that is, and they can do glass, but it's probably not, if they're booked out with, 70 jobs for the rest of the year, that's not their forte. Would they be interested in subcontracting that out and allowing you to help sell, and, you keep your part of the package, and convert some of his customers to glass, which benefits you both by a higher dollar range than doing aluminum spigots or pickets, and offer you an opportunity to subcontract and merge that way. I think there's some synergistic opportunities there in certain markets in particular.
Definitely want to find the niche, and deck builders don't typically have the glass racks, or all the tooling.
No, that's why I've got slabs in a box.
Well, right, but I still would like to be able to provide that service to the deck builder and not have them get the idea, hey, I can do it without him.
Right.
One of the things that is always a challenge, if you have the opportunity to run glass up the stairs, and that sort of thing, that's going to be probably a whole different animal, right? And that's where you're going to have to get the glass custom.
Correct.
So
yeah, there's not,
you can get proficient in those skills to tie that into the rest of the railings.
Yeah, there's a customer out in California that is, he's working with a glass company, and a glass fabricator to bring in the templates, and produce out a stepped glass. He prefers to do up the stairs, and that way you've got just a standard nest into the spigot. You're not dealing with a glass coming down across the holding power of the spigots, and working, shoulder to shoulder or hand in hand with a glass fabricator out in the Santa Cruz market, to I don't know if he's subbing out some of the installation or doing some other custom sizes, but certainly on all the stairs, because we're not intending to have something. It's just too custom of a nature to make any standardization there.
What kind of low iron do you guys have? That is it closer to an OptiWhite or a Starfire?
Closer to a Starfire. It's a grade A.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't know it by looking at me, but I actually started in this industry like 40 years ago. And
We do it.
I've seen a lot happen in that time. I've seen like a lot of our work, and I was like a union glazer guy and all that, commercial, and seen a lot of our work go to other trades, right? The roofers came in and started doing skylights. So we kind of lost our skylights. Sure. The carpenters came in and started setting mirrors, so, lost our mirrors, And then, iron workers came in, started taking, like our railings and stuff like that. And really, this is how I ended up in the frameless glass part of the industry, is because I found here's a place where other crafts really don't want to get involved. They're afraid of this,
Right.
so like the carpenters don't want to do frameless shower doors. And even if you do make these railings very simple and to buy and install, I don't think a lot of these contractors are going to really want to do it themselves. I think they really are going to want glass guys to do it, because it's kind of like, Brad was talking about, there's going to be some aspects of every project that are going to get a little tricky.
Mhm.
If you're coming upstairs or even just moving the glass around,
Right.
up and down stairs and stuff like that. I mean, you don't want just any guy, any helper guy, carrying around this Starfire glass,
Right.
it's so easy to scratch. It's so easy to
2x4 is not a piece of glass.
Yeah. And every bit of it shows, and this is something that you look at. It's a finished product, something that you look at really close, something that you look through all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as long as you're in this kind of a higher end part of the heavy glass installation industry,
Yeah.
I think our jobs are pretty safe. I think it takes a level of skill that most people just don't have.
And the networking opportunity here is awesome, right? Because that's what that's part of the aim, part of the goal here, is to figure out how do we. I've talked a lot about, okay, I've got the one set of experience is the building material contractor, and now is this exciting glazing side of it, and I'm trying to stitch them together is probably the most common term that I've said, is how do I take the experiences here of working with builders and supply and the like, but how do I work with and bring and stitch these two together? And that's why I have both products, because typically where there's an opportunity for one, there's an opportunity for two. And they serve different needs, right? I'm not going to have a spigot doing a Miami-Dade test and performing when you're only pinching at the bottom, versus something that's clamped off and can take a 13/16 plus glass.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. Come on.
Question for you. So I'm guessing most of the people here are from the States. I'm unfortunately from Canada, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
stuck up here. Here we've had a big inflood of lasers coming into the residential space, because at one point there was quite a bit of money into it. And now, because compared to you guys, we're very tiny, like it's a big country, but there's only 30 million people here, right? Now, I don't know if you guys have it down there, but Home Depot offers like aluminum railings with like 6 mil glass, which has like pretty much tanked a certain section, and everybody's starting to undercut themselves. Do you ever see this kind of ending up like a Home Depot product, whether from you or maybe like a competitor that comes out? Just because I love the idea. Don't get me wrong. It's just in
Right.
glass, I've seen like everybody's got the same spigot. I've had 5 different hardware companies be like, buy my spigot, and it's the same spigot with just a different brand name on it. Right. So
Yeah.
that's my only concern. Like, yeah, it's great, and I'd love to get on it, before it blows up. That's the best time.
Mhm.
But at the same time, kind of what was said earlier, it's like glass is very technical, but in Canada, people don't care, man. They're stupid cheap here. And this was my part of my frustration.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a manufacturer in Canada who, was interested in private labeling our product and bringing it through their supply chain and distribution network, and it was on the hardware side, and I gave a fair price, and he's like, it's not even close. So I've heard from other sources that it's an inexpensive market. For 20 years, I've heard about, you know, you have to get Canada certification. You have to get Canada certification. And in the decking world, it was nearly impossible. And I mean, literally, there was 75 people in a room that were screaming in celebration in 2003, I think, when the company I worked for got a certification that took like 2.5 years to get. So I don't understand the 6 mil glass thing. I don't see this. Our strategy is not to make this a Home Depot product. We want to increase the frameless glass category. I applaud if it's a you know, multiple people's you know, even framed glass, but I think the framed is what is really driving that price down because they get some support from a post, they get some support from a bottom channel and a top channel, and then they can just slide in a really skinny piece of glass in there. So it's not our strategy. We want to stay at that upper tier and you know, continue to deliver. If anything, I mean, I foresee us required to be, but I foresee a percentage of any standardization, if we do, is going to be required to be laminate, which is going to drive the price up even more. So that's our next move, not to make a 6 mil. Our next move is to make a 9/16
There you go.
or bigger. So
Nice.
Well, and kind of to add to that, what I've noticed is, at least in my region here in Maryland, 80 for lumbers, your lumber houses, there are a lot of those guys are reaching out because they're getting sick and tired of these cookie cutters, the overseas mass produced concepts. People are getting tired of it. They're starting to open up and are willing to you know, see a more value in an all glass aspects. I mean, I guess you can look over in Europe and see where our trends are when it comes to our glass stuff.
yeah,
It's starting to trend this way.
again, it's happening. You know, I mean, I've talked to some major, you know, billion-dollar players in the outdoor living space, and you know, they're just, I mean, people that I know, right, and I've been associated with, and they're looking at it like saying, you know, if you're a railing manufacturer today, and you're not rethinking your glass program, you know, then you're on the vine. So you know, I don't mean to. I think the best reaction to that, Chris, you sharing your story of you know, having displacement, you know, as trades move, and I felt that in the decking area when there was no hailstorms because every roofing contractor suddenly built decks, and then a hailstorm comes and suddenly they don't anymore. But I think the glass is coming, and it's been from frameless glass showers. It's been from the frameless window trend, the modern, you know, I mean, even our farmhouses in the last decade turned into a modern farmhouse, right? That's how they describe them in all of the journals and all the trade magazines and the DIYs and the like. So there's a modernism that's, you know, really holding and grasping. And I think to be proactive, you know, I think is where this is kind of, our conversation is circling into Maryland, you know, and reaching out and saying, hey, you know, this is my business. Like, how can I help? How can we partner? Who's, you know, who is moving first, and how do we get in touch with them? There's a local glass art design in Minneapolis here who did, you know, the first Aluvetro balustrade, which I think we're going to have to reschedule for this one if you'll have me to talk about that one. I'd love to hit that one too. But
Nice.
you know, they did their first install, you know, kind of under my watch, if you will, and you know, they you know, they're targeting the right customers, the right custom builders and semi-custom builders in the Minneapolis market, and then I'm going out and taking a job and hashtagging all over, you know, Minneapolis builders and you know, luxury custom, all of that, and push it. You know, make those connections. Don't single yourself into a shower. Don't single yourself into you know, just the specialty you know, one-offs. Glass railing is growing with or without me. I'm going to say that, right? Frameless glass railing is growing in North America with or without me. And, if that's the message that comes out of here, reach out to all channel. We're in the construction industry. That's lumber, that's timber, that's, that's plumbing, that's electrical, all of it. That's land development and excavators and the like. Reach out with what you want to do and what you want to claim on the job. I would say, frequently and quickly.
Chris, I'd like to add a couple of comments if I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike, you did an amazing job on this, and it's really good. But what a lot of guys have to understand, if they're going to get into this, they have to completely understand everything involved in their business practices. It is totally different than frameless shower doors. You need different tools, different skill sets. Safety requirements are over the top as far as, especially when you're getting down on higher levels and you have to strap yourself in for fall protection, carrying glass up, multiple glass, or maybe sometime getting a lull to get it up into the higher elevations and case loads. It's certainly not the same as doing frameless shower doors. However, I wouldn't even think about worrying about Home Depot, the lumberyards, or anything else. This is for a skilled laborer. The average contractor, if he went and he bought it at Home Depot, he would do it once and he would never do it again. And you realize just in frameless shower doors, the skills that you guys have. I mean, if this contractor did it once, you're doing it 50, 100 times. You're doing it so much more. You've run across so many more things that could go wrong that you've already learned from. There's no reason in the world for them to try and do it themselves. I wouldn't be worried about the lumberyards. They need you bad. And you can make a good living at it. This is not an easy job, but it's a beautiful job when it's done.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Bill. To be honest with you, that's why these people are reaching out to us.
Yeah.
It's out of sheer necessity, out of sheer need, because everybody else is screwing it up.
Yeah, there's money there and they want it. They don't want to do the work. They need somebody to do the work. I say it all the time when Angie's List calls me. You guys ought to be paying me, because without the contractors, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Why are we paying you for leads? You ought to be paying us so that you can keep your business, because if we stopped, you're out of business. Well, it's the same thing here. These guys aren't going to want to do this. You may get one or two, big deal. This is a beautiful product, very well made. You should be able to sell it for anything you want if you want to do the job. The other thing you have to consider, there's a weather component that comes in with railings that you don't get with frameless shower doors for the most part. Most of your work is outside, where at least you're inside doing the doors. And that's a whole lot to learn about pricing and layout and possibly even permitting.
Mm-hmm.
So, where a lot of this doesn't apply.
You'll have inspectors involved and, that kind of thing. And, different heights for different regions, different wind loads, different, laminations, all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff plays a factor. It's definitely a different world of a business than a standard shower door. Fortunately, we get into a lot of commercial, we get into a lot of glass railings, all glass entries, that kind of thing. And it takes a different breed of people. The precision that we have in our shower doors, it translates extremely well to railings and that kind of thing. But you definitely have a whole different dynamic when it comes to logistics and that kind of thing.
Totally. And so don't jump in it without doing your homework. Make sure you do your homework on it, because it's a great product and you will be a valuable contractor to somebody. And don't give it away.
I appreciate you adding that, Bill, because there's the dynamics of at the level that you guys are operating at. I don't mean to make it too easy, but it is a sizable opportunity. Appreciate your input.
It's a huge opportunity. I mean, you did a great job, Mike. It's just a lot of the guys that are starting out say, oh, this is a good opportunity, but you've got to start realizing everything involved in it. Once you understand it, you've got a good head on your shoulders and you get into it, you can make a good business just doing glass railings. You really could. But
would we be able to do kind of like a pseudo cold call with one of us and you? Just, I want to see how you approach like a prospective client with it. Just because, like I said, in my region at least, everybody's cheap. So I'm just curious to see, like, I don't know, just what you got, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, glass railings are not for everybody. So, I don't know if you're going to get cheap that are going to want glass railings. That's not your customer.
Right.
I truly believe that.
I think what I'm saying more of like, it's somebody that wants a glass railing, but how do we upsell them to this? Because you talked about good and great, right? Let's say regular glass railing is good, but this is great, right? I don't know what the prices are in the States, but here, like Canadian wise, it's like $200 a linear foot, give or take, depending the area. I guess in American that works out to be like, I don't know, like 150, 160 USD. So how do I upsell this? That's my question, I guess.
So you're going to be, you're going to be in the 250 to pushing 300 for this system.
It would be more like 320, 350, I
320.
guess, because with labor, this seems a lot more labor intensive than just, right? Because if I've got to connect wires, run wires, put it in a box, that's like at least double the labor. Plus, I've got to coordinate with people putting in the deck or the stone. It sounds complicated.
Yeah, don't forget, not every job's going to require lighting.
So yeah,
Many
that's
of them
right.
won't.
So this is the box.
Right.
If you can see.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not too difficult, but compared to a frame system, or even maybe a post system, right? That's got some 6 mil in it. We chose the 12 mil for a reason. We want to be at that upper tier. Mark Benecki, who's the Australian, he wanted to make the strongest spigot on the planet, and for his market in Australia, 12 millimeter is about twice the thickness of what's typically used over there, and the like. So we talk about leverage our strengths, right? Of having a spigot that is warranted, having a rail system that is certified, not just for fencing, but truly for a guardrail application, having illumination, having Wi-Fi, right? All of those things are differentiators that connect to it. The matte black finish, the typical powder coat that's used out there is an epoxy based, and epoxy is notorious for having some chalk out. So we have an upgraded finish on the matte black. Those are the core components that differentiate the product offering. Stronger, safer, clearer illumination, ease of operation from having Wi-Fi capable. Those are your, that's your bread and butter to bring into the conversation. That's your gun in the fight.
Awesome. Well, Mike, I really want to thank you for coming on. I mean, you did a great job, and we'll definitely have you come back on again and talk some more another time. So we've been talking with Mike Kunard of HiddenStep Marketing, and I was going to ask you how to get in touch, to get more info, but I see that Rob has already posted all of your contact info in the chat.
That's awesome.
So the Instagram, TikTok, you name it, all that's in there.
Yep.
So we'll be following up. I'm sure all of us have some more questions. Thanks again. You did a great job. It was an excellent presentation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the questions and feedback. Means a lot to make my way into the industry and have your support.
Awesome.